Hi guys, my name is Kaitisha and I watch entirely too much TV and consume entirely too much pop culture media for my own good. So welcome to the pop culture column where pop culture meets critical thinking. So this is actually not the topic I intended for the first video. However, I fear we need to talk. We need to have an open and honest conversation about the current state of the music industry after seeing the ridiculous backlash that Justin Bieber received for his Coachella performance. I swear, the believer in me has taken over and is like, this is your first topic. You're not talking about nothing else. So I can't make any promises that the believer isn't gonna jump out and whack a few people. I'm sorry. So if you don't know, we are officially in festival season. Coachella has came and went and it has kicked off festival season. So many festivals to come, but Coachella wrapped its second and final weekend last weekend, and there has been a lot of discourse on Coachella. I don't know if I've ever seen this much discourse, especially about its headliners, more specifically about its main headliner, like let's be honest, and that was Justin Bieber. I honestly don't know if I've ever seen this much discourse about Coachella performances. Usually it's conversations about the Influencer Olympics, and there was that too, but there was a big conversation about Justin Bieber's performance, and I don't necessarily know if it was warranted, but since everyone's talking about it, we're gonna talk about it. Okay, so I actually waited to make this video because I wanted to kind of sit with my thoughts for a little bit, because if I came on here directly after weekend 2, it was gonna be cute. I was gonna be like, and look at what he did, and y'all was down with him, and da-da-da-da-da, and da-da-da-da-da, right? We don't want none of that. We want to always come from a critical and analytical lens. So I waited until after weekend 2 so I could really gather my thoughts and think about everything from a wide lens, right? Kind of step back and look at it from a wider lens and see what Coachella and both weekends have shown us about the state of the music industry and how we as fans or as a society interact with music and artists, right? So weekend 1, when I left my Belieber bubble at 5:30 a.m., yes, I stayed up to watch the entire performance and had to do a Belieber Twitter debrief after because like you just had to. But when I left my Belieber bubble, I was so shocked, confused, but also not really. Like I was more confused at how people were responding to the performance and the discourse that people were having. Everyone just loves to have discourse on him, whether it's, does he hate his wife? Is he broke? Is he sober right now? Like whatever smear campaign they be trying to push, whatever smear campaign they may push next week, girl, you just never know, okay? But I think what shocked me the most was the conversations that people were having in relation to it and the discourse that was pulled about the performance. Like I did not think that the performance would turn into a discourse about male versus female pop stars. Like I was a little confused when people were like, oh, like men have to do so little, women have to do so much. I was like, okay, I do agree. This is a conversation that we can have, but why are we talking about that in relation to Justin Bieber? That's not really a good example. Am I crazy? Like, listen, I think this is a very valid conversation for us to have about the double standards in the music industry and the standards that are put on women versus men. However, I don't think that Justin Bieber is the example that we use for this conversation. I mean, if anyone understands the weight and the scrutiny about having to perform for the masses or the public, the media, and put on great performances and be the best that they can be and give a show, it's Justin Bieber. Like, do people just not remember Justin Bieber in his prime? Like, I don't know if that's what it is. Are we forgetting that they used to call him the Prince of Pop? I mean, he's still the Prince of Pop, let's be honest. But are we forgetting that? Are we forgetting Bieber fever? Are we forgetting how Bieber fever swept the nation? He could not go anywhere without being followed, whether it was fans, whether it was paparazzi, like news outlets would report on him like he was the news. Babe, this ain't the example you think it is. Like, he would be scrutinized for anything that he did. I think that's a huge part of why he's been out of the limelight for a while, okay? Like, Justin Bieber spent his entire career giving us big, spectacle, grandiose performances, even when it was causing severe health and mental health issues. Let me put this in the words of pop fans, because I know how y'all love an error, all right? It is not Justin Bieber's fault or his fans' fault who enjoyed the performance that for over 10 years, he was giving big, grandiose, spectacle performances while everyone was hating on him. And now that he's performing at Coachella and there's been a shift and, oh my God, I want to see Justin Bieber, y'all want him to run it back so that you can say that you saw Justin Bieber perform songs from 14 years ago. He's in a different era, babe. That's not his era anymore. And I think that he's earned the right to perform the way that he wants. I think any artist has earned the right to perform the way that they want because they are expressing their craft and their art with us. So I think before we go trying to blame the double standard, we really need to look inner in our role in stan culture and kind of look at how we interact with pop stars and how we've placed expectations on pop stars. But can we also just talk about the fact that Justin has gotten this much backlash? Kind of contradicts your argument a little bit, because he's showing that him getting on stage and doing that performance wasn't okay with people. And he's a man. But I do just want to make it clear, I understand the critique people are trying to make, but I don't think it applies here. The real conversation we need to have is about the expectations that we put on artists, especially pop artists. Whether it's us, whether it's the label, whoever it is, there's a huge expectation put on pop stars to be a show pony and perform for our entertainment because that's their job. When in reality, making music and sharing music is their job, and everything else that comes with that is a bonus.
Hi guys, Editing Kaitisha here. I needed to come in and kind of clarify my point because I didn't really get into it how I wanted to. But what I'm trying to say here is really there is a sense of entitlement that we have, especially when it comes to pop stars. I mean, celebrities in general, but especially to pop stars, because there's this sense of like, well, we're the reason that they're famous, which is like true to an extent, but at the end of the day, their talent is the reason that they're here, and that is true. And yes, that is true to an extent, because there would be no celebrities without the fans and the audience, right? However, I think that it becomes a personal thing when you feel like you are the one who they need to listen to, when it's like there are multiple people who actually do get it and do relate to it. And just because you didn't doesn't make it bad. It just means that it wasn't for you. You didn't get it. And I think that's a super important thing for us to be able to acknowledge, because there are multiple artists that I don't necessarily like. However, I don't go and say, oh my God, they're so bad, they're talentless and all this stuff. Like, no, they're just not for me.
And I want us to think about it this way, because again, there's been this woman versus male argument, right? Sabrina Carpenter was not really paid attention to by the masses until she started putting on big spectacle performances or doing witty performance puns with her 5th studio album. Mind you, I was there, can't blame a girl for trying, because Sabrina Carpenter has always had talent, but it felt like the talent wasn't enough, right? But then I think on the other end of that, we have artists like Billie Eilish and Adele who are able to just live in their talent and live in their voice. No one expects them to be putting on a big production performance because that's not the kind of music that they make, right? We're gonna talk a lot about context because context matters. And I think the context of the kind of music you make is very important in this conversation, and we're losing that because we want to have a hot take. So for the people that are saying that a woman couldn't get on stage and do that performance, is it because a woman couldn't get on stage and do that performance, or is it because you wouldn't let a woman get on stage and do that performance and you would feel satisfied? Because let's be honest, this is a safe space, okay? Y'all let white women in the pop category get away with a lot, okay? If those girls are giving you a dance number, giving you a big production with a lot of dancers, a lot of smoke and mirrors, it doesn't matter if their mic was off the entire time. So yes, pop stars, especially female pop stars, are held to ridiculously high standards. But it seems like somehow the expectations and the criteria gets to change based on who someone likes. And I feel like people are trying to find reasons to justify why they didn't like the performance when they could just say, I didn't like it. Like, this is more a conversation about personal preferences and performances that you value, which is why some people loved it and some people didn't, because art is subjective, right? And listen, I'm in no way saying that Justin Bieber is above criticism. No, it is. But I feel like we're losing the constructive criticism of it all because you just didn't like something. And yes, it is a fair take and a fair critique to just not have liked his performance, or to simply have thought that he could have did more, or I more so want to say you wanted him to do more. But this argument that the performance was lazy or not thought out thoroughly, just thrown together, is a reach. Nothing about performing on a stage for hundreds of thousands of people is lazy. Nothing about sharing your craft and your love for something is lazy. I honestly don't even understand how anyone who watched the performance could think it was lazy. Unless you only watch clips on TikTok or listen to what people told you from the clips they watched on TikTok. Don't worry, we'll get into iPad time in a little bit. But before we do that, I want to talk about the expectations of Coachella and a Coachella set. It seems like every year Coachella just seems to get bigger and bigger, and the expectations just continue to grow. Whether it's the outfits or the influencers attending, the brand houses that they're staying in, the brand activations, the other things that are going on around the festival, and more specifically, the headliners and their performances. The festival has been made into this big spectacle festival. There are going to be big performances because that's just what the festival is. But that's honestly not what Coachella used to be about. I mean, originally Coachella was a festival of protest, but we're not going to get too deep into Coachella's history because there are some controversial things, girl, but we're not doing that today, okay? If y'all want that, let me know, but not today. But yeah, the festival was about bringing artists from all different genres and all different styles of music together and creating an experience for the festival goers. And no performance was necessarily better than the other just because one was a big production performance or one was a more stripped down, intimate performance. I feel like based on the genre of music, you're really getting different experiences of a performance, right? And again, we're going to talk a lot about context and a lot about nuance, right? There's a lot of nuance in the conversation we're having today and a lot of context. So there are some artists who want to perform a big performance. They want to have like a grandiose production and really wow you with the theatricals. And there are some artists who just want to strip it back, who want to share music with you. Maybe it's their new album, or maybe it's older hits that they haven't performed in a while, or maybe it's their newer hits that they want to test out some experimental things, or maybe it's just music they feel like people overlooked, right? And again, that doesn't make one better than the other. It just makes it different because a lot of people are there for different reasons, because art is subjective, And again, this is where context is very important, because if you follow Justin Bieber the last few years, or you listen to his last two albums, Swag and Swag 2, then you would know that his sound has taken not a drastic turn, because he's always been dabbling in R&B. His sound and his music is more reflective and more expressive about his life journeys and the things he's going through at the moment. So like I said, nothing about Justin's recent albums or the way he's interacted with his music and the media, or his recent live performances like the Grammys or his intimate Roxy Theater shows he's been putting on, none of them ever suggested he was getting on that stage and doing some theatrical, grandiose performance. This is not the Believe tour. This is not the Purpose tour. It's not his fault that you missed that, okay? And if you listen to Swag and Swag 2, I think that set envisioned it perfectly. I think the set was beautiful. It created a safe space for him to express himself, but also created a space for the audience and the fans to be let into his creative safe space to experience that with him. And I thought the performance was very raw and very real, exactly like the album. So have y'all just not been checking for Justin Bieber? Or maybe you just went to the show because it was Justin Bieber, but again, it's not his fault you have not been following him. But like I've been saying, art is subjective, and I think it leads me to the questions like, if you didn't listen to his 2 recent albums, or is given his 4 recent albums, the way y'all seem to only know Purpose in journals. But anyways, if you didn't listen to any of his recent work this decade, why go to a Justin Bieber set? I mean, again, like I said, he is Justin Bieber, and you want to see Justin Bieber. But when you got there and you realized it wasn't something you liked, why didn't we just leave? We're at a festival. I'm sure there's many other things to do, even if he is the only performer at the moment. You could have left. Girl, I'm sure beating that crowd would have been helpful. But I don't know. It's a festival. There's so many things to do. Also, this notion that, oh, people paid so much money and this is what he gave. You paid money for over 100 artists. It is not Justin's fault that you haven't kept up with his material, his creative direction, or what he has going on since 2016. Like, I don't know. Why wouldn't he perform his recent albums? I feel like that's weird to expect him to perform only old music. Like, yeah, he's gonna perform his recent stuff and throw in some hits. Like, it made sense to me.
I also just want to add here that comparison is the thief of joy. Whether you're comparing him to his older self or you're comparing him to other artists, you are never going to enjoy yourself, because not only did you already go into the show with an idea in your mind of what it should be, but you also didn't allow for the space or the grace of what it could be. People were expecting Beyonce's performance or Sabrina Carpenter's performance, but they haven't put into perspective who this is. They haven't thought, what have they been doing recently? How have we seen them show up in the media? How have we seen them show up on whatever platforms? What's the recent music that they've released? Because we talked about the expectations of Coachella. You are not expected to only perform your hits at Coachella. Everyone does not do that. Most people, I feel like, do perform recent music. It's not his fault you did not check for the recent music. Or maybe you just didn't like it. I don't know.
Let's talk about iPad time. Okay, so this idea that Justin Bieber spent his entire set sitting on his laptop, playing memes and songs on YouTube while he occasionally sung over them, it's ridiculous. And it's how I know that media literacy is dead, okay? Not only did no one running with this idea actually go do some research and pull up the entire performance, because they would have found out that that was only 10 to 15 minutes at maximum of his 90-minute set. But people were so ready to judge and critique it and criticize it, they didn't even try to dig any further. They said, oh my God, I can't believe he did that. Oh my God, he did that? Ew. They didn't even try to understand why it would be a part of his set. They were quick to jump on him. Ugh, I can't believe he did that. He's so lazy. Ugh, a woman could never. Guys, again, context matters, okay? Justin Bieber has always been very digital and social media forward. This is someone who's behind hundreds and thousands of teenage girls getting their first Twitter account just to interact with him. This is someone who tweeted how catchy Call Me Maybe was, then proceeded to do a cover sing-along video with all of his star-studded friends to help the video go viral, to help the song go viral. From mostly him, but all of his star-studded friends lip-singing on YouTube. Which brings me to my next point, YouTube. That was very intentional. The app where the first digital media global pop star was discovered. I don't know if you've heard of this guy. His name goes something like Justin Bieber. In that moment, it was more than just putting on a show to entertain the audience. It was about sharing a journey, about sharing a reflection on his career with the audience. But even with all of that, even if the performance was boring to you, this again was not a lazy moment of him scrolling on his laptop. He not only reflected on his old music, but he reflected on a young Justin. You can see him literally look up as he's singing with you. He literally talks about how deep back do you guys go. This is a man with almost 20 years in his career. This is a man who's reflecting on how far he's come. The fact that he's here in this moment, a moment he didn't even know he would make it to. Again, context matters. This was about Justin Bieber getting on stage and reclaiming that stage. He was finally free to just do what he loves. And I love that I waited until weekend 2 to talk about this, because he even says it in weekend 2. I was just a kid who loved to sing, a kid who wanted to make music. And the industry almost took that from him. The industry almost took everything from him. And one of the TikTokers I follow actually put this so perfectly when he said, this is the story about the boy who lived.
I'm seeing some people be really critical of Justin Bieber's Coachella performance, saying that he didn't do enough. But honestly, I wish I was there. And it seems like everybody who was there had a really good time after paying a lot of money to be there to have a good time with Justin Bieber. Yeah, he was playing YouTube videos, but you gotta understand, a lot of those single YouTube videos have more streams than your favorite artist's entire discography. It's not the same. It's truly levels to this. Like, it's levels to this. You could make the observation that a female pop star couldn't get away with what Justin Bieber did. You could make the observation that, female pop stars have higher and more expectations thrust upon them than their male counterparts. Absolutely. But Justin Bieber is not their male counterpart. Justin Bieber is Justin Bieber. And they couldn't get away with it because they're not Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber can do it because he's Justin Bieber. We're calling it Bieberchella. It's the boy who lived Chella. You understand? We're not talking about a male pop star. We're talking about a child soldier. We're talking about somebody who gave up everything so they could protect the village hidden in the leaves, and we made his life a living hell. He still flipped it around and became Hokage of this land. It's not the same. Y'all keep trying to be like, oh, but Tsunade also became Hokage. We're not talking about Tsunade. We're not talking about the son of the White Fang. We're not talking about the copy ninja of the leaf. We're not talking about Naruto Uzumaki. Those people are not, their name's not on the poster. They're fodder. I don't care that Kiba wants to become Hokage. It's never going to happen for him. You understand? Nobody could get away with what Justin Bieber did, with the sole exception of Satoru Gojo. He's the exception to the lore in universe. You get me? It's not the same. Stop trying to compare it, because it's not. If you don't think that Justin Bieber has given us enough, it will never be enough for you. You're bottomless.
And if you are one of those people who are getting online and saying the disgusting things like, I don't care about his healing journey, he needs to go to therapy, why is he doing that on the stage? Is music not a form of therapy? I thought we all listened to music when we were sad, when we were happy, when we had emotions that we wanted to get out. Whether you're the one listening to it, you're the one writing it, you're the one singing it, performing it, it's expressing it. Music is a form of therapy. So not only are you just dead wrong and so empathetic and disgusting to say that, you have just taken music out of a music festival. You have taken the emotion out of music, which is what it's supposed to have. I honestly just think we've gotten so lost when it comes to what should be expected of an artist. We think they're supposed to constantly get on stage and perform for our entertainment, no matter the consequences to themselves, because it's their job. But it's also their art, and we can't tell them how to express that. Again, on that Coachella stage, it was bigger than a Coachella performance. Justin was reclaiming his power in this industry. He didn't get up there and do what was expected of pop star, pop boy Justin Bieber, but he got up there and he shared his love for the music and his love for his craft. He shared a journey with the ones who got it and with the ones who were open-minded and willing to receive it. Because let's be honest, Justin Bieber has made it very clear he does not care to be a pop boy anymore. That's not him. He's birthed his sons. Free him from the shackles of being a pop boy. And honestly, I think the backlash is coming from a lot of people who were there to see Justin Bieber or see what Justin Bieber would do, or tuned in to see what Justin Bieber would do, but they weren't actually there to see Justin Bieber, which was the point of the entire performance, to let you in, to be vulnerable. But you guys don't want vulnerability. You want them to come to you healed or to come to you reckless with entertainment. And I think, unfortunately, for a lot of people, it's something they don't see until that person is no longer here. Because we know how society loves a legacy of an artist that they didn't appreciate when they were here, that they could have appreciated when they were here, that they could have given grace when they were here. But whether you liked it or not, there's no denying that man earned his $10 million. Y'all can keep debating that. That man has doubled that money from merch, everything. This will be one of the most talked about Coachella performances. It's already the most viewed. It will likely go down as one of the most memorable Coachella headliners ever. And that doesn't take away from Beyonce's phenomenal performance at Coachella. It doesn't take away from Sabrina's phenomenal performance at Coachella. It just means they're different. But I, for one, am so happy that this man has remembered he is Justin Bieber. I'm going to turn on swag and work on next week's column article. I'll see y'all next week. We'll be talking about one of my favorite pop culture phenomenons. Bye.